Okay, and this is not going to be prescribed. Like, I just want it to be kind of like a chit chat kind of thing
Yeah.
because I want to tell people about this because I'm super excited about it.
Cool.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit, because you're the one who introduced it to me. I mean, I was watching you and was so excited about it. And then, so you kind of got me onto this. And so can you tell me a little bit about what it is and tell everybody about what it actually is, what these buttons are?
Absolutely. So, the Fluent Pet buttons are just a brand. It started way before these buttons were developed with just random recorded word buttons that people were getting off of Amazon. And the first main dog that had these is her name's Stella, and there's a book by Stella's owner that I have but have not read yet. But essentially,
I'm going to have to get this. I didn't know there was a book on her either. The only one I know of is Bunny, right?
Right.
Which
And so
I'll put some of Bunny's videos in this blog post so people can see Bunny because she's amazing. But I didn't know that it was Stella before Bunny.
Yes. So Stella's owner is a speech pathologist by trade. And so she was one of the main ones starting the whole concept of using recorded word buttons to communicate with her dog. So she was one of the main ones. And then Bunny's owner got into it. And so Bunny's like the most famous dog doing this. And Bunny even has a little brother now that's using buttons. But essentially, you are teaching your dog to press a button that correlates to a word, and most people put pictures on the buttons also to give a visual clue. There's so much more I could say, but it starts simple with one button, kind of like an outside button, because that's such a common thing that you do so many times a day, and you build up your communication level from there.
Okay, so essentially they would be telling you, I want to go outside, because they'll go push that button that says outside, or what does the button do?
So when you get buttons, they're blank and you choose what to put on them. So you record yourself saying a word. And when you start, most people will have 1, 2, or 3 words. They actually recommend having a pair of words when you do it. So like outside and then the opposite, but that's later on. So like for Ollie, his first 2 words were outside and water. That way it's something we do all the time. And I recorded my own voice and put the buttons near the things that he would use them for, so that he would be able to correlate quickly outside right by the door and water right by his food dish.
That is so cool. How did you get into this? Like, what attracted you? Where did you find this, or what got you on this path?
So when I got Ollie, I was done with my prerequisites for school, and I was working from home, and I watched Bunny, and I was like, oh, I could totally do that, because I had just gotten Ollie. He was like 3 months old, and I got our first buttons. And then it's progressed from there. He's a boxer, and boxers are not notoriously intelligent. So they are great guard dogs. They're great at love and wiggles and all of that. But it took him about 2 months to hit his first button. And it goes back to target training. So I was getting a little bit confused and frustrated. I watched a bunch of Bunny videos, and then I found Stella. And so then I was reading a bunch of things that they had done. So we started with target training, and we were going to your classes at the same time, and we were able to connect. If he hit something, he got something out of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That is so cool. So then how many buttons is he up to now, Ollie?
Okay. So he has a lot of buttons. He doesn't use them regularly. And because he's a 1.5 years old and super excitable because he's a boxer, he has to be in a calm mood, which is not that often to use them. But he has about 25 buttons He understands and uses probably 10 to 15 of them somewhat regularly.
Ooh, that's really
And he has a couple duplicates in there.
good. Yeah. And
So he
then,
has an outside button by our upstairs back door and our garage door, so that he can tell us when he needs to go to the bathroom at both of those.
that's cool. So do you, like, you've had dogs before and you did not do that with them. This is only new because you got Ollie. So are you finding any difference, or is it just a funsy kind of thing? Because I am just like, that's so cool. Wouldn't it be fun to teach my dog to do this? Like just for fun, like I'm always looking for fun activities to do. Teaching Annika all sorts of different things just because it's fun to connect with her. And I'm like, why not do this? This would be super cool. It's not really known. I don't see people doing this. I mean, you were the first one, and I don't hear anyone talking about talking buttons ever. And, but you came to class the other night and you said something that I was like, oh, you kind of went directly to my heart. Like, holy cow, this is way deeper than just, let's just go have fun and see if they can push buttons and know what, I go outside and push the button, What, can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So a lot of people will do like a bell by a back door for outside and stop at that. And because I had seen Bunny and all of that, and I'm a researcher by nature, I'm in healthcare and all of that. He's actually in a research study with other animals, not just dogs, but like cats. I've seen guinea pigs and bunnies use buttons. And so that's why he has so many buttons, is because I'm kind of following that path and trying to help them with their research. But what I've noticed is a couple things. Number one, he's super attached to me, but not in a bad way, but he always comes to me and looks at me. He looks at my face, and I've never had a dog do that before. Like, not in the same way. But the thing I was telling you is that when I talk to him in the cadence that I use when we use buttons, because, and I'll say that in a minute, but when I talk to him in that way, he looks at me and listens and processes what I am saying to him, and then he reacts. So the cadence that you use when you use buttons is saying only the words you're going to press buttons for, plus maybe one or two other words that you'll eventually have buttons for. So for example, I can't say it, he's close to me. Let me come up with a different example. I was going to say CARRIDE. Can't say that.
Okay.
When we get home and he's super excited, I'll say something like, Ollie happy, or Ollie love you, mom. And then I'll say it with a brief pause between each word. And then I'll go press the buttons, encouraging him to press them in that manner also to communicate what he's feeling. But when I don't have the buttons near me, I'll still talk to him in that way. And he definitely picks up on what I'm saying and responds to it. I feel like he understands a lot more English than any other dog I've had before.
And it really is true. You're teaching them a language, because so many people, even in my classes, they're talking. There's so much speech to their dog. And I'm like, you realize they don't know English. It doesn't matter what you're saying, and you are using so many words with them. Like, they don't understand it. They're not a child who has that language already. A human child. And so reducing it down to a few words gets closer to their understanding of where their English is.
Yes. And that's something cool. Yeah, and that's something we have worked on a lot, and I've worked on, and I've learned is when you babble at them, it's just to get the tone of what you're feeling. But if you want to communicate with your dog in any way, slowing down, fewer words, simpler words. And when we've gone through this process and I've gotten frustrated time to time, and like right now, I'm a little bit frustrated because he's not using all these buttons that I know he like knows. But I had a friend tell me it's like a toddler learning to talk, where he probably understands more than I'm saying, but he's not able to utilize his words yet. And sometimes he does things that completely surprise me. There was a garbage truck outside a couple months ago, and he was looking out the window at it. And I was downstairs. I knew he was up there doing that because I walked by and saw him. And he came downstairs where his buttons are, and he hit sound all done. And I was like, whoa, how do you even know to do that? But it was super deliberate. He was super calm, and he was telling me what he saw and that it was done, that the garbage truck left.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How many of us would go, yeah, my dog knows this, like, and can express it? It's not that,
Right.
I mean, obviously the dogs know when a sound is turned off, you know, they can hear just as well as we can, if not better. But to communicate that with a human being, to go, the sound is gone, like done, like,
yeah,
insane. So how was it, you know, because you introduced these buttons with Ollie, like when he was really little, and raising a puppy, a boxer puppy, no, is a lot of work. I mean, they're busy, 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 busy. With your previous dog, did you have him as a puppy?
yes.
You get him older. Okay, so you have the experience of comparing raising two boxer puppies. Do you feel like this went any better by inserting these buttons? Do you feel like it lowered any frustration knowing I can tell you when I need to go potty, I can tell you when I need to go outside? Because I envision, I've thought a lot about this leading up to talking with you about it. And I thought, how will this help people? Again, not just a fun thing to do, but go, could this actually lower frustration between the dog and the human because you are able to really communicate with one another? And I don't know how many times I've heard people say, or maybe I've said it, like, I don't know what you want. Like, you're barking at me and I tried to go down the list of all the things, but I don't know what you want. You're just now annoying me.
Mm-hmm.
Could this be something we could insert to prevent that kind of frustration between dog and owner, where it's like, I know exactly what you're trying to say because you went and pushed the button. I got it. I don't know, how is it for you raising a puppy in this?
I think for smart dogs like Annika, she's going to get it really quick, and you're going to be able to communicate with her really well pretty quickly. Not that Ollie isn't smart, but again, the intelligence level, like, you know, poodles are very, very smart, right? And that's what Bunny is. Bunny is a standard poodle. Boxers are not quite at that level. But for him, it did take, like I said, about 2 months for him to hit his first button. So he got the buttons, it was December last year, and he didn't hit his first button until February. So, like, as far as potty training and stuff like that, it didn't help a ton. But right now, like, if he asks for water, I try to have his water dish full all the time. But he literally will ask for water or for food. And I didn't introduce food until recently because otherwise they'll go like hit it all the time. But when I'm done eating and like doing dishes and whatever, you know, maybe I forget and he'll hit food or he'll hit help. And I'll be like, oh, you need something. What do you need? And so that's really cool. He has help button for like if he loses a toy under the couch or he wants something.
Exactly what I just thought of. I was like, help, like, what an awesome button. I never would have thought to have that be one of them. Like, I'm like, noted, I'm going to totally remember that because there are times where they need help. Like, this is so cool.
There's a whole community through the buttons that I do have, the Fluent Pet buttons. So Fluent Pet has taken a lot of feedback from the original buttons that were like this big, and people were making their own soundboards to connect them on. So Fluent Pet has created all these buttons, and they're about this big, and then they have different size tiles that you can place them on. So for Ollie, he had the compact tiles at first, and he has big paws. He's a puppy still, and he was really struggling. So I got bigger tiles, and he's done a lot better. But Fluent Pet has a huge online community of, they have like a weekly different things like, Interesting Things Tuesday. I don't remember what they're called, but they have a full forum, and they have recommendations on what buttons to start with, what ones to include, and with the things that you put the buttons on, they have different patterns, and those patterns mean things, so that the dog can visualize what's on that board or that section of the board, and that's where you put your buttons in a pathology way, like a speech pathology way, so that they can communicate better. So, for example, there's a whole section for like people, like names, friends, stranger, things like that. And then a whole section for like questions, and a whole section for places. So it's really like figuring out what buttons to add next. You have a whole community to help guide you, because I wouldn't know. I never would have thought of adding the word help. But like, for example, Bunny has used the word help and paw, and she had something stuck in her fur between her nails, or between her toe pads. And so she was able to have her human look at her foot and fix it for her, which blows my mind. Again, I don't think Ollie will ever do that, but
We can hope he can get there. Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think he understands a lot more than what he uses.
I mean, that is so powerful. I wonder, it makes me think how far we can take this with them. If you're even working with a worried dog where they're a little fearful of dogs or people coming into the house, like them being able to communicate with you and go like, I'm hitting the button, like I'm worried, like, got it. It gives them something to do instead of, I'm just going to react to this. Could they just go push the button where then it alerts the human, okay, you need a break. I need to go put you like in your safe place. I'm not going to pressure you to go forward and meet this person. You're worried. I can say my feeling, or, like sky's the limit on the things that you can teach.
Yeah.
So
and
to me, like this is multi-layered. Like you were like, well, there's this down the road. There's this down the road. Like this goes deep, if you will.
Yeah, so for Ollie, we started, like I said, with outside and water, and then we started adding mom and dad. And so those were like very solid things that he understood. More recently, we started adding things like home and away, so that he understands the concept of being at home, of us being at home, or him being at home or away. And then the most recent buttons I've added were happy and sad. So, or I think it's angry. It might be sad. I don't remember. Anywho, it's just that concept of an emotion, like you were just saying, is so important for them to learn how to express. But for Ollie, being a happy boxer, I've never used the angry button.
No, never angry.
So I don't even know how to introduce that button to him. It's on his soundboard. But maybe I need to
change it more like I'm tired. I
need to exchange it for like worried or tired or something, because he's never going to be angry.
No, he's a boxer. They're never angry. Yeah. And then when you are getting started with this, because it is so multi-layered and like, this is like a big thing, like to help get going. So like, I even want the resource. I have with the training background, I'm like, I can piece things together and help Annika start to learn this. I feel like I have enough, but someone who is not a trainer, someone who is not a researcher, where would they go to begin? Like, so if I've ordered mine, it's coming right at the beginning of January, I think. And what do I do? What help do I have? It arrives in the box. Do you know what kind of help there is? So there's the forums, there's the book, but how do you get started?
The forum for sure, and it even has multiple threads of what do I do before I get my buttons to start the process. Cool. But for us, the starting process was target. So either targeting with his paw or his nose onto something. And so I couldn't find anything similar shape except for a wooden Christmas ornament. So we started targeting that. And every time he would hit it, I would say yes and give him a treat. When I got my buttons, I put the first button in the center of his tile and was trying to get him to target it. He wouldn't. at all, ever get near it, touch it, anything. So I recorded the word yes, and I would hit the word yes, or I put the Christmas ornament near it, and he would target it, and then I would hit the button with the word yes and treat him for that. So
he knows if he hears that, he's going to get a treat. Yes
yes,
means
and that's what we learned from your
training.
class. Yep.
Yeah, that's what comes in training. So, that
But
is
for
brilliant.
him, but for him it was a slow process, like I've said. But we also, a big thing to remember is don't put expectations on your dog. If you expect your dog to learn this in a week or a month or 6 months, they're never going to hit it because they feel your vibe. You have to model a whole lot. A lot of what you're doing is modeling, and they will follow your lead eventually, hopefully. So for the first 2 or 3 months, I would just hit the button every single time we came outside, every single time we came back inside. And for the water, if I would fill up his water bowl or he would drink from it, I would hit the button. And eventually he went to the outside button and hit it himself. But it is a slow process, especially for younger dogs. I think older dogs that have some kind of background in training will get a little bit faster than older dogs that are more just family pets and don't do a lot of formal training. But yeah, it's a whole lot of patience, no expectation, and a whole lot of modeling.
How was it for you, like with when he touches the buttons, like, and he has it right? Like, what is that like for you?
It's absolutely bonkers still. Like even today, I've been trying to record some things for you, but my basement, or where he has his buttons, is right by my laundry, and so there's
You're like,
video.
yeah, I got
so I need to clean that first. But he was, my goodness, what was he doing? I had come home from running an errand, and he hit "Now Love You." And then he looked up at me and then leaned his whole body on me. So I know he meant what he hit, because when dogs lean on you, they're giving you a hug essentially. And so it wasn't a random walking on the buttons. He totally meant to hit "Love You." And it just makes my heart so happy. I feel like our relationship is a lot closer than any other dog I've had because we're communicating all the time. And he, like I said earlier, he looks at me differently. He looks to me to communicate. And it's just mind-boggling that you can teach them this, because 20 years ago, we thought that dogs needed the alpha in the house. And that's not a thing. That's really not a thing. According to research and things in the last 10, 15 years, we know that that is absolutely not a thing. That dogs evolved to be house pets because they learned to cooperate with humans. And the humans that cooperated back with dogs evolved those dogs into our house pets. And so learning all of these things in this time is just brought us really close together. And he's such an amazing dog. And I wish that I had 50 years with him for sure.
Yeah. And pet ownership now has become such a multi-billion-dollar industry. I think back, like, if my mom was still alive and I told her what I was doing with my dogs, like I ordered a Christmas gift for my dog, she would have been like, what the what? Not only is it a Christmas gift, I have ordered her the buttons, and she would have just, she couldn't really feel it, because growing up too, the dogs were over the years, first they were outside totally. They never came inside. Then over the years, I think they got worn down a little bit. I don't know if I was like, please, can they come in or something. But my mom would let our Labrador sleep at the top of the stairs. We entered, the main living area was at the top of the stairs, and Maggie had to lay right at the top. She was not allowed to go anywhere else in the house. Her little spot was on the linoleum right at the top of the stairs. So you walk up the stairs, step over Maggie, and then you walk into the house. And that's the only bit. And so over the years, not that long ago, the dogs are not pets anymore. They are becoming family members, and people are doing so much more for their dogs. And I just think this takes it to a whole nother level, like being able to communicate with another family member now. It's not them just living in the house and being a good dog. We can actually communicate so much better. And that is so powerful. I'm blown away by this. I cannot wait to get started with Annika to see what she can do. But, and I think that's just really good advice too, to just like slow your roll and just slow down. It's brand new. We don't expect toddlers to just start speaking when we start, how long are we saying mama, dada, to try to get them to say it. The dogs need equal amount of time to be able to understand how to speak English. So, are there any helpful tips or things that just to kind of wrap this up, like anything that, one, would you do it again? So if you got another puppy, would you introduce this again?
Absolutely.
Absolutely you would? Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything that you would do differently? So when you started, knowing what you know now, to go, I wouldn't have, my next puppy, I'm going to just do this instead.
I think Ollie has too many buttons, but they say not to take the buttons away once you introduce them, because essentially you're taking away the potential for that word. But because he's so young and all over the place as a boxer, I think he just has too many words, and I would have introduced things slower to make sure that he understood what he has. At the same time, a lot of our words you don't use every day. So I think I would have done more research into, or thought more about what words we use regularly to communicate, and that would be more helpful. So there are some things that we have that are just not very helpful. And I think I just wish I would have slowed down with my excitement for adding buttons.
Like, you can talk and say all the things. Yeah, and get going. Okay, I could understand that. I could see me getting a little bit overexcited about it too. So that's really good. I'm going to try to remember that.
Slow down. I have a list on my phone now of buttons that I think would be useful, buttons that have been recommended on the forums, and I have not added any buttons for 3 or 4 months now, because he is still so all over the place with things sometimes that I don't want to add anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just keeping them successful is the most important thing, and not, raising their frustration level. Because I just think this is such a tool to add to their quality of life, and keeping that the goal. Great. So I would love to have the link to this book about Stella. Like, I'm downloading it the instant that I get it. I want to read that right now. And then I think you gave really good insight into, there's things that I'll also include, in the blog post about maybe start working on these things first. But and I need to make sure I'm working on these things first, because I don't have my buttons yet. So I'll just maybe kind of ask you like some of the things that you did, and I'll just include that into the blog post to get people started, because they might be wanting to buy these buttons as well. So
Awesome.
That'll be cool. And then I'll include the link too, that they can order straight through and get their buttons.
Cool. I love it. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
And
I'm so excited.
Yeah, Ollie does have a few videos on his Instagram of him using the buttons, because yes, my dog has an Instagram.
Yeah, you want to say what that Instagram is so they can go on there and.
His Instagram, I think, is Ollie B144. I think. I would have to look it up. I don't know.
I can link that in the blog as well, because I do like his page and I love seeing the things. Yeah, and I'll get a few of those videos and post them so they can see in the blog post, or you can go on Instagram and follow Ollie and all of his shenanigans, because he's freaking adorable. So cute and cute. So I can't thank you enough for taking this time. Like I said, you're the one who just inspired me to do this. And finally, I'm like, I'm doing this. I cannot wait anymore. I have to do this. I'm just going to take the time and teach her. But I love what you're doing for dogs in the community, because I think the more people who know about this, the better it's going to be, the better life these dogs are going to have. And so it needs to be broadcast. And it would be fun to see if people, like anyone buys from even this, like it'd be fun to get a group together, like a local group even together to be like, how are you doing? And maybe get our little group going to just check in with one another and see how things are going. That would be phenomenal. But
I do know there's a few other people in Spokane. There's quite a few people in the Seattle area. But I know Annika is going to excel. She's so dang smart.
It's a little smarty. And
So
she loves her snacks. So if I have snacks involved, she's like, I'll tell me what to do. You want me to watch your car? I'm like, yeah, anything for snacks. So she follows her mother's part for sure. So
absolutely.
thank you so much. I know you have other things to get to, so I won't keep you. But I can't thank you enough for just taking the time to talk about this and get us started on this conversation, because I want to continue on, as Ollie has more videos, any little inputs that you have, I want to share all of that. I'll share Annika's journey as well as we get going. But I think this could really change the face of how people are communicating with their dogs. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. All right. Bye.
Bye.